Let's go to the phone lines. Talk to Fran in Columbus, Ohio, listening on Sirius XM 131. Hi, Fran.
Hi there. I'd like to start off by saying I really enjoy your program, and I actually listen to it on my way to work.
Well, thank you, Fran.
So I was really interested. I was explaining, maybe one of your producers, that I worked at a cancer hospital for over 20 years, and hospice is what helped create my passion for oncology as well as for the Lord, seeing the peace that transcends understanding and too many situations to count. But I'm definitely seeing the amount of suffering that I've seen in the time that I've worked with cancer patients, have been interested in what you were saying as an oxymoron, assisted suicide or death with dignity, simply because I think many times patients maybe don't understand what they're agreeing to with more treatment. And unfortunately, some centers today will push because of the funds that are generated. And so I just feel like, where do you draw the line then? It's really hard when you see, and it's not just elderly people, you see young people, dying in agony and excruciating pain, and they've lived beyond what they would have lived without conventional medical treatment.
Sure. And again, comfort care, which is usually referred to as palliative care, focuses on managing the symptoms that you're describing so that a person can have a certain amount of comfort and retain dignity. And again, that doesn't mean that they don't receive any kind of medical treatment. They do, but this is not a way of extending life, but allowing the life to run, or maybe I should say death to run its normal course, the dying process to run its normal course, as opposed to using extraordinary means to keep the person alive. For example, I was going to mention Elliot Miller, and I forgot to do that when I opened up the show, but he died last week. And I saw him shortly before he died. He was beset by an angry cancer. It was a bone cancer, and oh my goodness, the fact of the matter was inevitable death. Unless God did something supernatural, it was inevitable death. And so instead of taking extraordinary means to keep him alive, they allowed the dying process to run its course. That is, again, under the rubric of passive euthanasia. Active euthanasia is never permissible because now the prerogative of life and death is no longer in the hands of God. You're taking a prerogative that is God's alone into your own hands. So that's the difference between the two.
Right. No, and that makes sense. I guess it's a very fine line when you say active, because even when someone is in palliative care, I'm sure you know that there is a lot of research about the medications that we give to alleviate pain and suffering that can actually hasten death. But I understand.
Well, and again, here's the thing. I mean, for example, take morphine to ease shortness of breath. That's a common thing that people do. Or you remove excess fluid from the lungs so that the death is not more excruciating in its agony than it needs to be. So these are things that we can do, we ought to do. That's the kind of comfort care I think that's in view here.
Right. I think it's been challenging for me as a Christian to maintain that perspective at times, simply because, and I've watched documentaries and I've researched, actually did a paper in grad school on assisted suicide and euthanasia. And it's just really hard to comprehend this, the suffering. But you're right. I mean, I definitely agree with you.
You know what? I'm going to have to cut you off, Fran, not because I'm not enjoying the conversation and your words are very, very helpful, but we're right up against the clock. Coming to the station break, thanks for the call. We'll be back on the other side of the break with more answers to your questions right here on the Bible Answer Man broadcast. So please don't touch that dial.